You and your partner both work full-time. Together, you're bringing in $120,000 a year. That's good money, way more than your parents made at your age. You should be crushing it financially, right? But somehow, at the end of every month, there's barely anything left. You've got 2 cars because you both need to commute. Daycare costs $1,800 a month. Your mortgage is higher because you could afford more house with 2 incomes. And despite making twice what a single income household made a generation ago, you feel more financially stressed than ever. You think, how are we making so much money and still struggling? Here's what kills me. You're caught in what economists call the 2-income trap, and it's one of the most devastating financial patterns in modern America. You think having 2 incomes gives you security, but it's actually made you more vulnerable, more broke, and more trapped than you realize. And I'm going to show you exactly how this trap works and the specific steps to escape it before it destroys your financial future. My name is Max, and I want to help you learn how to make your money work more for you in your life. Today, I'm breaking down the 2-income trap, why couples making $100,000 plus often have less financial security than single-income families making $60,000, and the exact strategy to restructure your finances so 2 incomes actually build wealth instead of just funding a more expensive lifestyle. So, let's get started, and please make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Okay, let's talk about what the 2-income trap actually is, because this concept, popularized by Elizabeth Warren before she was a senator, explains why so many dual-income households feel broke despite making good money. Here's the thing. In the 1970s, most families ran on a single income. The median household income was about $45,000 in today's dollars. One parent worked, one typically stayed home. They had a modest house, 1 car, and somehow made it work. Fast forward to today. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, approximately 60% of married couples are dual-income households. The median dual-income household brings in around $110,000. That's more than double the buying power of the 1970s family, right? Wrong. Here's what most people don't realize. When families shifted to 2 incomes, they didn't pocket the extra money. They fundamentally restructured their expenses based on having 2 incomes. And that's where the trap snaps shut. What happened? Housing costs exploded. Families bought bigger houses in better school districts because we can afford it with 2 incomes. Transportation costs doubled. Now you need 2 cars, 2 insurance policies, 2 sets of maintenance. Childcare became a massive expense. When both parents work, you're paying $12,000 to $25,000 per year for daycare or after-school care. Work-related expenses multiplied. 2 professional wardrobes, 2 commutes, eating out more because both parents are exhausted. The result? According to research by the Federal Reserve, the average dual-income family today has less disposable income and less savings than the single-income family of the 1970s, despite making significantly more money on paper. This is where it gets really interesting. The single-income family of the 1970s had a massive advantage: flexibility. If the working parent lost their job, the non-working parent could enter the workforce. They had a backup plan built into their structure. But today's dual-income family, both incomes are already committed to expenses. If either person loses their job, the entire financial structure collapses. You can't downgrade the mortgage easily. You can't get rid of the second car without consequences. You're locked into a lifestyle that requires both incomes just to survive. Let me show you the actual numbers, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. 1970s. Single income family adjusted to $20-25. Income, $45,000. Housing, mortgage/rent, $12,000, 27%. Transportation, $4,500, 1 car, 10%. Childcare, $0, 1 parent home. Food, $7,200, eating at home, 16%. Other expenses, $13,500, 30%. Savings, $7,800, 17%. Dievitukstoshi, Divertissement piaci, dual income family. Combined income $110,000, then housing, bigger mortgage, $33,000, 30%. Transportation, $14,000, 2 cars, insurance, gas, 13%. Childcare, $18,000, 2 kids, 16%. Food, $12,000, less time to cook, more eating out, 11%. Work-related expenses, $8,000, clothes, convenience costs, 7%. Other expenses, $19,800, 18%. Savings, $5,200, 5%. Look at that. The dual income family making $110,000 saves less per year, $5,200, than the single income family making $45,000, $7,800. They're making 2.4 times the income, but saving less in absolute dollars. And as a percentage of income, they're saving 5% versus 17%. That's catastrophic. But here's where it gets even worse. That $5,200 in annual savings assumes nothing goes wrong. No medical emergencies, no car breakdowns, no job loss. The moment something unexpected happens, that dual income family goes into debt. The single income family had a 17% cushion and a non-working spouse who could get a job if needed. Now you might be thinking, Max, that 1970s lifestyle sounds terrible. I don't want to live like that. And look, I'm not suggesting we go back to the 1970s. I'm showing you that 2 incomes should have made families dramatically wealthier, but instead it just made them more leveraged and more vulnerable. Let's break down the specific expense categories that explode when you have 2 incomes, because understanding these is the key to escaping the trap. Expense number 1, housing. When you're applying for a mortgage, the lender looks at your combined income. If you make $55,000 and your partner makes $55,000, the bank sees $110,000 in income and approves you for a much larger mortgage. Here's the problem. That mortgage is now dependent on both incomes. If either person loses their job, gets sick, or needs to reduce hours, you can't make the payment. You've bought a house that requires both of you to work full-time forever. The median home price has increased approximately 180% since 1985, while median income has only increased about 60%. The gap was filled by dual incomes. Families can afford more expensive houses, so housing prices rose to absorb that extra income. Expense number 2, transportation. 2 working adults almost always means 2 cars. That's not just 2 car payments, it's 2 insurance policies, $2,400 to $3,600 per year. 2 sets of maintenance and repairs, $2,000 to $4,000 per year. Double the gas, $3,000 to $5,000 per year. 2 registration fees, 2 sets of tires, 2 everything. Total transportation costs for a dual income household average $14,000 to $18,000 per year versus $6,000 to $9,000 for a 1-car household. Expense number 3, childcare. This is the killer. According to Care.com's 2024 data, the average cost of full-time childcare in the U.S. ranges from $12,000 to over $25,000 per year depending on location and age of children. For 2 kids, you're looking at $20,000 to $40,000 annually. Let me put that in perspective. If one parent is making $45,000 per year and childcare costs $25,000, they're working for a net gain of $20,000 before taxes. After taxes, they might be netting $12,000 to $15,000, and that's $1,000 to $1,250 per month for the stress of working full-time, commuting, and missing their kids' childhood. Expense number 4, convenience costs. When both parents work full-time, you're exhausted. You don't have time or energy to cook every night, so you eat out more or order delivery. You pay for services you'd otherwise do yourself. Lawn care, house cleaning, grocery delivery. These convenience costs add up to approximately $400 to $800 per month. For the average dual income household, that's $5,000 to $10,000 per year in expenses that single income households typically don't have. Expense number 5, work-related expenses. Professional clothes, dry cleaning, lunches out, commuting costs, parking fees, networking dinners. all the expenses associated with maintaining two professional careers. These can easily run $400 to $600 per month, or $5,000 to $7,000 per year. Add it all up. The second income often generates $50,000 to $60,000 in gross income, but creates $30,000 to $45,000 in additional expenses. The net financial gain is significantly smaller than it appears, and you've eliminated all flexibility in your family structure. Here's where the psychology makes this trap almost impossible to escape once you're in it. Psychological force number 1, lifestyle lock-in. Once you buy the bigger house, get the second car, put the kids in the expensive school district, you can't easily downgrade. Your identity becomes tied to that lifestyle. Your kids' friends are in that neighborhood. Your social circle expects certain things. Downgrading feels like failure, so you stay trapped even when you're miserable. Psychological force number 2, the dual income baseline. Your brain recalibrates to see both incomes as the baseline. You don't think, we're making $55,000 from my job plus $55,000 from my partner's job. You think, we make $110,000. Both incomes become essential to maintaining your baseline lifestyle, which means you have zero flexibility. Psychological force number 3, keeping up with the Joneses, on steroids. When you're in a dual income neighborhood, everyone has two incomes. The spending expectations are calibrated to dual income lifestyles. The school fundraisers, the kids' birthday parties, the neighborhood social events, they all assume everyone has significant disposable income because everyone has two working parents. You are probably wondering, so what, Max? Should I just quit my job and stay home? Not necessarily, but we need to restructure how you think about and use that second income. All right, here's the strategy to escape the two-income trap and actually use dual incomes to build wealth instead of just funding a more expensive lifestyle. Strategy number 1, live on one income, invest the other. This is the most powerful wealth-building strategy for dual income couples, and almost nobody does it. You budget your entire life, housing, transportation, food, everything, to fit within one income. The second income goes 100% to wealth building, maxing out retirement accounts, paying off the mortgage early, building investment accounts. Let me show you what this looks like. Couple making $55,000 and $55,000. Budget lifestyle to $55,000, or even less, like $48,000. Second income of $55,000 goes to wealth building. After taxes, that's approximately $40,000 per year to investments. Investing $40,000 per year at 8% returns for 15 years creates $1.38 million in wealth. Same two incomes, radically different outcome, all because you avoided the lifestyle trap. Strategy number 2, the one-car test. Can you structure your life to need only one car, remote work, public transportation, living close to work, carpooling? If you can eliminate the second car, you save $8,000 to $12,000 per year. That alone, invested over 20 years, becomes $400,000 plus in wealth. Now, I know you may be frustrated thinking, that's not realistic for us. Fair. But have you actually tried to make it work, or did you just assume you needed two cars because everyone has two cars? Strategy number 3, the childcare calculation. Do brutal honesty math on childcare. If the lower earning partner makes $45,000 and childcare costs $20,000, after taxes and work expenses, they might be netting $12,000 to $15,000 to work full-time. Is that worth it? Alternative options. One parent works part-time or freelance from home. One parent takes a few years out of the workforce while kids are young, then re-enters. One parent switches to a lower-paying but flexible remote role that eliminates childcare costs. This isn't about gender roles or whether parents should stay home. This is pure math on whether working makes financial sense when childcare eats most of the income. Strategy number 4, housing based on one income. When buying a house, get approved based on your combined income, but buy based on one income. If you're approved for a $500,000 house with both incomes, buy a $300,000 house that one income could carry. This gives you flexibility if anyone loses a job, wants to change careers, or needs to reduce hours. This is the single most important financial decision dual income couples make, and most people get it exactly backwards. Strategy number 5, the emergency fund that reflects your risk. Single income families need 6 to 12 months of expenses in an emergency fund. Dual income families in the trap need 18 to 24 months because you have 2 points of potential failure. If either income disappears, your whole structure collapses. If you can't afford an 18 to 24 month emergency fund, that's a sign you're over leveraged on both incomes. You need to restructure. Look, 2 incomes should be an enormous advantage, and they can be, but only if you avoid the trap. Here's what the advantage actually looks like when you do it right. The right way to use 2 incomes. Massive wealth. Acceleration, living on one income while investing the other, can take you from 0 to millionaire status in 12 to 15 years. Single income families can't do that. Career flexibility. If one person wants to switch careers, start a business, go back to school, or take time off, you can do it because you're not dependent on both incomes for survival. Geographic freedom. You're not tied to a specific location because of one employer. You can move for opportunities or lifestyle because both partners can find work in most locations. Reduced risk. Through diversification. 2 incomes in different industries or companies means you're not devastated if one sector has problems, but only if you haven't structured your life to require both incomes. The key is intentionality. The trap happens when you drift into a 2-income lifestyle without consciously designing how you use both incomes. If you're already caught in the trap, both incomes committed to expenses, no flexibility, high stress, here's how you restructure. Phase 1. Audit and acknowledge. Month 1. Calculate exactly how much of your second income is actually net gain after taxes and work-related expenses. Be brutally honest. Include childcare, transportation, convenience costs, everything. You might find that second income only nets $15,000 to $20,000 per year. Phase 2. Create the one-income budget. Months 2 to 3. Build a budget that fits within your higher earner's income alone. This will require cuts, probably significant ones, but this is what creates freedom. Identify which expenses you can reduce or eliminate to make this work. Phase 3. Redirect the second income, month 4 plus. Once you've cut expenses to fit one income, redirect the entire second income, or as much as possible, to wealth building. Max out all retirement accounts first, then pay off high interest debt, then build a massive emergency fund, then invest in taxable accounts. Phase 4. Build optionality, year 2 plus. As you build wealth from the redirected second income, you create options. Maybe the lower earner switches to part-time or freelance. Maybe you move to a lower cost of living area. Maybe one person pursues a passion career that pays less but brings more fulfillment. You can do these things because you're not trapped by lifestyle obligations. Seriously, this restructuring is hard. It requires saying no to things your dual income neighbors are doing. It requires living below your combined means in a way that feels restrictive at first, but it's the only way to escape the trap. Here's what most people don't think about. The 2-income trap doesn't just affect you. It affects your kids and their financial futures. When both parents work demanding full-time jobs to fund a lifestyle they can barely afford, kids grow up seeing financial stress as normal. They see their parents exhausted, stressed about money despite good incomes, and they internalize that this is just how life works. But when you restructure, when you live on one income, build wealth with the other, and create actual financial security, you model something different. You show your kids that you can have 2 incomes and still have time, reduce stress, and growing wealth. You break the cycle. Additionally, by building significant wealth through the live on one income, invest the other strategy, you can help your kids avoid student loan debt, help with their first home down payment, or leave them a financial foundation. Generational wealth doesn't happen when you spend both incomes on lifestyle. It happens when you build with intentionality. Look, here's the reality. 2 incomes should be a massive financial advantage. But for most people, they're not. They're just funding a more expensive, more stressful lifestyle with zero flexibility and high vulnerability. The 2-income trap is real. It's caught millions of American families who are making more money than ever, but feeling more broke and stressed than previous generations. But you can escape it. And the way out is counterintuitive. Instead of using both incomes to afford more, use one income to live and the other income to build wealth. This requires you to make different choices than your peers. You'll drive the older cars. You'll live in the smaller house. You'll say no to expenses that dual income families around you say yes to. And for the first few years, it will feel restrictive and uncomfortable. But here's what happens. In 5 years, you've got $200,000 plus in investments while your peers have nothing. In 10 years, you've got $500,000 plus in financial options they can't imagine. In 15 years, you've got over $1 million and you can choose to work or not. They're still trapped, still stressed, still dependent on both incomes just to survive. Your assignment: this week, sit down with your partner and calculate the real net value of your second income after all expenses. Be honest. Then discuss whether you can restructure to live on one income and build wealth with the other. Even if you can't do it perfectly, moving in that direction changes everything. Drop a comment below with your combined income and tell me if you're in the trap or if you've escaped it. Let's build some community around this. Subscribe, because we're going to keep breaking down the financial traps that keep people broke despite good incomes. Hit that thumbs up if this video changed how you think about dual incomes. The two income trap is optional. You can choose differently. You can use two incomes to build wealth instead of just funding lifestyle inflation, but it requires intentionality, discipline, and the courage to live differently than everyone around you. Stop letting two incomes make you broke. Start using them to build the financial freedom they should have been creating all along.